we're working very hard with the Egyptians and the Qataris, the two mediators right now, to try to refine that framework, add more details to it.
The director of the CIA says ceasefire talks are nearing close to a resolution. But for Palestinian civilians in the Gaza Strip and the families of Israeli hostages, that time cannot come soon enough. The dawn of Saturday morning marked the 11-month milestone in the war between Hamas and Israel, a war that's left over 40,000 people dead in less than 1 year's time.
It is a fact that if you look at the written text, 90% of the paragraphs have been agreed to, but in any negotiation I've been involved in, the last 10% is the last 10% for a reason, because it's the hardest part to do.
That remaining 10%, the reason fighting continues between Israeli forces and Hamas militants. The latest round of violence leaving a 13-year-old girl dead in the occupied West Bank. Her mother claiming she was shot by an Israeli bullet fired into the window of their home.
She was in her room along with her sisters. She was afraid, in fear, and suddenly a bullet got in through the window and hit her while she was on her bed.
The Israeli military says it's investigating the incident, which allegedly occurred after troops fired bullets in the air to disperse what they're describing as violent confrontations between settlers and Palestinians. The ramped-up violence in the occupied West Bank being monitored closely by Western officials and the United Nations, who are also inside the Gaza Strip, handing out the remaining doses of polio vaccinations to children across the besieged enclave. Preliminary data shows that since the vaccination campaign began on September 1st, over 350,000 children have received doses. Officials say a new round of testing is set to take place to see if vaccines have been working in keeping the disease at bay throughout the Strip. Now, as those enveloped by this war continue to inch closer to the 1-year mark, protests continue to gain strength, specifically in Tel Aviv. Saturday evening local time saw tens of thousands take to the streets once again, accusing Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of sacrificing their loved ones by insisting on keeping troops in certain areas of Gaza. Netanyahu insists that maintaining pressure on Hamas is the best way to get the hostages home. For City News, I'm Karling Donoghue.